Greetings, friends. It's Denise again with Denise's Dancing Paintbrush, and this time a watercolor. Are you ready? I got a commission to do a special watercolor this week, and so I jumped right in. This is for a friend of mine, a very special friend, and she is sending it to a missionary in Japan. And she wanted persimmons and a Bible verse. So I began with arranging the persimmons so there would be room for the Bible verse, and then started painting. I started with a very thin wash of blue around the edges, so there's something in the background. Then I let that dry, and I went back and began painting on the persimmons and the leaves. Very, very pale wash to begin with. And the thing with watercolor is that you don't want to put all of the color as rich as you want it right away. You want to put it on a little at a time and build up in layers. That way it has a very translucent, glowing effect. You can see the white paper underneath it glowing behind all the color. And as far as I know, there are two kinds of persimmons. There's the very short, fat ones, the squat ones that are very hard, and you can practically eat them like an apple. But what I love are these big, juicy, fat ones that make the best persimmon cookies and persimmon bread. There's something about them, they're just so plump. And they have a very rich persimmon color, somewhere between red and orange. So that's why I chose them. Either of the varieties of persimmon would have done. I had photos of both, but I really love these plump ones. And I wanted some leaves too, just because I like that splash of green next to all that red-orange. Now I let everything dry and I put on another layer. You see I have a paper towel down there next to my paint palette so that I can wipe off any excess water or paint if I think it's going on a little too dark. I've also got a piece of tissue paper to prevent my hand from touching the paper. And the reason behind that is that this is watercolor paper. It is very absorbent. And your hands, believe it or not, even the side, the heel of your hand has tons of oils. And you do not want those oils to be absorbed into the paper, or the watercolor won't stick properly. So I lean my hand onto this tracing paper, tissue paper, in order to keep the oils from touching the paper. I started with a very pale yellow ochre on the leaves and the persimmons on the light side. Then I went to a cadmium orange medium, and then a cadmium red deep, and a purple lake for the deep shadows on the sides of some of the persimmons. When they're very, very ripe, they look almost purple. I'm using a lot of blue with my green because the persimmon leaves tend to have a blue cast, even though they look a little on the olive side of green. Now I've got to put in some shadows under the persimmons and the leaves. And go back and add a few details. So the last little thing I've got to do is prepare the lines on the page for the Bible verse. And I pencil it in very lightly. The deal is that it's got to be perfect, or I'll end up having to paint the whole picture over again. So, to be safe, I got a piece of tracing paper, and then tested my lettering skills on the tracing paper first, before I start painting directly onto the watercolor paper. At first, I decided to try it with a paintbrush and some black paint, some black watercolor. But it just wasn't working very well, so then I went searching for something better, and I found these acrylic paint pens, and they were much more controllable. So that's what I decided to use, the paint pens. And the Bible verse is Isaiah 48. So once it dries completely, I erase all those pencil lines. And it's done. Thanks so much for watching all the way to the end. I sure appreciate all my subscribers. Do give me a thumbs up, it really helps my channel. And come again and see what else I'm painting. Bye for now. Have a great week, everyone.